Happy New Year! I hope you have a blessed 2026, and I got a build here that will light up your entire year using the Divine Soul Sorcerer multiclass with the Paladin in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a mod that was made by IncogneatoBurrito, part of their Book of Sorcerers mod. And honestly, I think the Divine Soul Sorcerer is the strongest sorcerer subclass because it answers one of the sorcerer's biggest problems, which is their lack of spells. And most notably, it gets Spirit Guardians. A brief overview of this build will get Spirit Guardians up, run around Divine Smiting, and lighting up like there's fireworks in the air. Now for cantrips, we'll be taking Booming Blade, because this is a melee spellcaster hybrid, and booming kind of like fireworks. We also got Mage Hand here to help us with throwing water bottles and healing potions, making us an even better healer. We also get Firebolt to explode things, and Friends, which is great if you're the face of the party. If not, you can take Ray of Frost or Shocking Grasp. We'll also take Shield and Magic Missile, just so we got guaranteed damage. I also like to grab Guidance here. This is one of the best cantrips in the game, but if you have a Cleric already, you can then take something like the Bursting Sinew or Toll the Dead. And for the spells, we want to grab Create or Destroy Water. You can do a Quickened Create or Destroy Water, which will double your Cold and Lightning spells, which is just absurd. Yes, the Storm Sorcerer also gets that, but we get it at level 1, which is pretty cool. And we also get a Divine Affinity Law, which gives us Bless. So yeah, that's also a nice thing to have early on in the game. If you're able to grab the Hagsayer, take your Charisma to 17 to boost it to 18. I actually like having a bit higher Dexterity here, and we can play kind of a Dexadin. Fowler Alluve is a really good weapon for here, because it has an ability that does not have a concentration that'll boost our damage and apply thunder damage and debuff the enemies, so we're really good in that regard. And otherwise, you could swap Dexterity with Constitution. You could go Strength if you like it, but I just think that Dexterity just works a bit better. Now we get Metamagics here, and I want to recommend Extended Spell. What's cool about this is not only does it increase the surface duration, so if you have things like Ice Storm, it'll double it to 4 turns, or Crown of Madness, giving it even further turn duration. If you have gear, it'll double the gear benefits that you get from casting that, so yeah, it doubles all conditions. Pretty crazy. Twin Spell is also nice, but I think Distance Spell with Magic Missile is really good early game. Twin Spell is good if you want to use Twin Haste, but we have better concentrations actually on this build, so we'll take this something else. I also like to grab Thunderwave. I also want to recommend that Dawnster's Arcane Spells just dropped yesterday, which has Solar Flare, which is a really fun one. But Thunderwave or even False Light for a bit more health can be good. And we can also grab Command if you want to get this earlier, but this is something that Paladin also gets similarly. Healing Word's another good choice because this is healing as a bonus action, can proc some gear. And Sanctuary is another good choice because it's Sanctuary. That's pretty powerful. I think to get Command early on in the game is a pretty good choice though, so we can go with that there. It's alternatively your choice depending on where you're at. Level 3 gives us our Metamagic Quicken spell. This is just really good, and it opens us up. When we have the Paladin later on, which we get 2 attacks, we can then use Quicken spell to do a bonus action spell. And we'll also grab something like, if you really want Shadowblade, you can use it. This is going to be one of the most overpowered weapons in the game. I like Scorching Ray though too, because you can use this to proc some different gear. There's even things like Hold Person, which are great for being able to lock down an enemy, but we'll actually get this from playing the Paladin, so it's something we'll not take, but if you want to just stick with the Sorcerer, we'll go with that. Misty Step and Mirror Image are other good choices. I also have a level 20 build on this, but this one we're sticking with level 12. And then for the spell that we'll get here, Spiritual Weapon, really nice. Being able to just bonus action, create a Maul. The Maul is particularly good because it can daze enemies so that we can land our commands and hold persons on wisdom saves a little bit easier. We get another cantrip here. And around this level, Bone Chill will actually bring a lot of value, but Minor Illusion's good too. If we go Vengeance, Paladin will already get Misty Step and Hold Person, so you could take Shadowblade if you really wanted to use that. It's going to be the most powerful weapon here. But we also have Mirror Image to increase our armor class by 3, so you can get a +9 to your armor class, which is really nice because this is concentration free. We can also take Prue's Flame, which is actually underrated because we can hold it until long rest. We don't have to actually throw the flame. We can apply it to ourselves, which lights our character up and procs a lot of gear. So that's really good. It's also useful in Act 2. Now, at this point, we can go back. We didn't take Sanctuary, so we'd take that, or Healing Word. Both of those are great. Aid's nice, but we can get it from the Paladin as well. And at level 4 here, Alert can be a really good feat for the +5 to our initiative, or an ability score improvement on the Charisma stat. So it's between those two. Alert, just being able to go first as a sorcerer, I think is extremely powerful. So level 5 gives us another choice in spell here, with Counterspell being a big one, because yeah, being able to protect our team like that is really nice. Haste is another good one, as mentioned, with Twinned Metamagic. Fireball and Lightning Bolt are 2 other great options, but I just like the counter spell for the defensive purposes. Mass Healing Word can be nice too if you got any gear that procs a bunch of things, but At this level, we want to take Spirit Guardians. This is just such a powerful spell, and it pairs with the Paladin really well because you're getting a lot of radiant damage off not too much effort, just running around. Level 6 also gives us the empowered healing, so whenever a creature within 1.5 meters you cast a spell that restores health, you can increase the healing by twice the spell's level. That's really nice because you don't have to be the one healing. You can just spend your sorcery points to be able to boost your teammates. Actually, pretty crazy ability, and that's why we want to take that there, because it pairs well if we have a cleric on our team. Even though Spirit Guardians is not stacked like that, it's still a nice thing to have. I like to grab Lightning Bolt over Fireball, but Fireball's a good spell too. Both of these are great choices, and again, I just want to mention Haste there. And we'll take one more of these here. We got a choice to make a little bit later on in the build, but Glyph of Warding is really nice. Think of it like a short-range Fireball, and also you can use the Sleep if you're a half elf or a full elf because you are immune to sleep, so you can throw it at your feet. I also want to mention Animate Dead is really nice too because this gives us another thing to soak up hits for our team, which is obviously quite nice. Level 7, this is where we can either decide to continue here, but I think the best choice is to add in the Paladin at this point. I wanted to do a level 20 build. I guess I could just talk about it a bit later what we could use, but I'll keep it at level 12 because this is plenty strong. Oath of the Crown may make sense because you get the Righteous Clarity to buff attack rolls, but Oath of Vengeance is just the best Paladin. It's very offensive focused. You get Inquisitor's Might for dazing targets, but we really want to use our level 3 ability, which we'll get to now. We got Divine Smite here. Divine Smite's crazy. It's good. Use it on everything. Our defense here, +1 armor class, is going to be the fighting style of choice just to give ourselves some more survivability. Dueling's nice, however, if you want to go more offensively and use a shield. And then in our spell book, I would recommend, we already have Command from the Sorcerer, and we already have Bless too, so we can go Divine Favor and the Smites. We're not going to use the Smites often. We really just want the Divine Smite. We're a half caster here, but it's a level 3 ability that we really want. This is absurd. Vow of Enmity. You gain advantage on attack rolls against an enemy, which is great on its own if you consider the fact that you can actually apply it to yourself and get advantage on every attack roll that you make. That's absurd. For 10 whole turns, we're making attacks with advantage. This just makes the Vengeance Paladin absurdly broken. We also get Hunter's Mark there to be able to apply that mark, and yeah, so we'll take Command. We don't really want any of the other Paladin spells. They're just there. We'll then get our second feat here, and at this point we can go with the Charisma Increase or a Dexterity boost there. You could also drop a single level to Hexblade. That's one thing I want to mention, but we're really gunning for this level 5 here for not only the extra attack, but Hold Person and Misty Step. So we got Teleport, we got Lockdown, and now we got another spell here that could be somewhat useful, Branding Smite, but our general play now is to try and set up Hold Person by using things like the Gloves of the Battle Mage's Power, getting close, proc all of our gear, and then get out, basically. Now, we got an option. We can add our Charisma modifier to a 3-meter radius, protecting our teammates' saving throws and ourselves. This is really nice. There's also the choice of going here and taking Ice Storm, which is something we can extend to give 4 turns of ice surfaces, and surfaces are quite good in this game. Confusion's a decent, okay spell as well. You can then take the Guardian of Faith there, which is another okay spell, but Animate Dead or Mass Healing Word is probably the preferable options. And as mentioned, we can also then add in a single level of the Hexblade Warlock. This gives us Charisma scaling on our weapon, which is nice because we got a higher stat for that. And then we also get the Hexblade's Curse, which can apply that and give us a little extra damage off on the enemy. And then we can also learn things like Hex and Hellish Rebuke for a bit more damage, or even Armor of Agathis. But the secret overpowered method is we get level 5 spell slots if we keep it within the 2 classes here. And this lets us go back and take like Shadowblade, which is crazy. You don't have to take Shadowblade, but we now got the 4d8 version of it, which makes this extremely strong. Ice Storm is another good choice too. Now the thing is, whatever we're going to be replacing here, we can actually then go ahead here, grab ourselves Ice Storm. So that is kind of a method to get around that and give ourselves a lot of good spells, because we do have the spell slots for it. And then also take Guardian of Faith here, which is okay. It can just basically give you a bit of extra damage and support without much thought. Mass Healing Word's another good choice, or Revivify as well. But yeah, Shadowblade, you don't have to take it. You don't have to. It's just really, really strong. And Ice Storm is good too. Now, we have a lot of gear that actually works very well in this setup because we got Radiant damage, and also we get melee Radiant damage. So everything we do can proc things like the Luminous Armor, which whenever we deal Radiant damage, we do a Radiant Shockwave. This applies 2 Radiating Orbs in a 3-meter radius. It's honestly very powerful, and you can get this in Act 1. It does keep our armor class not like super high, but you don't really need armor class as much when we're giving a -10 to the enemy's attack rolls. I also like to grab the Holy Lance Helm, so when they miss, we also then apply 1d4 Radiant damage, which will proc this again. We could also use the Luminous Gloves here I have the Gloves of the Battle Mage's power on because if we're using Shadow Blade, Booming Blade, or Divine Smite, all three of these give us Arcane Acuity, so we land all of our spells, which is just crazy for using scrolls, because we use Charisma for all of them. And then we also have the Boots of Stormy Clamor here, because we are going to do Reverberation, or apply Reverberation off Radiating Orbs, and then we can also apply Radiant Damage from the Callous Glow Ring, so everything we do, if we're illuminated, we'll do Radiant Damage. And then we also get the Arcane Synergy Ring, so when we do Booming Blade, we add our Charisma modifier to our melee attack. So yeah, we are very synergetic, and we protect our team. I also got Fowler Aloof here if you don't want to use Shadow Blade, because the Singing Song is really good if you use the Fowler Aloof Shriek. It gives additional thunder damage, and also it gives a negative to the enemy saving throws, so we're more likely to land things. However, if we're using this, one of the best ways to go about this build would be to grab one of the free casting staves in the game, like the Staff of Spell Power. Take this and then go over to your Shadow Blade, and we get ourselves a free level 5 Shadow Blade from that, keeping ourselves our version of that. And the thing with Shadow Blade is it's going to do a 48 of psychic damage. If you have the Resonance Stone from Act 2, that doubles that. So yeah, if you really want to be like overpowered, that's the way to do. But you can use Fowler Aloof all the same. It's a really great weapon too. I'd also encourage you to use Produce Flame. This gives you this little like red, blue fire in your hand. Just stand with it. It gives you light, and that will proc all of our gear. And if you want to save yourself some sorcery points, the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel also works great on this, instead of the one that gives you your Charisma modifier added back. I'd prefer to have the Callous Glow Ring here for the extra radiant damage. And what this ends up meaning is that we can actually get our commands and hold persons basically off as a bonus action without the 3 sorcery point cost. So yeah, even if we run out of sorcery points, which we only have 7, we won't have to worry too much. And if you want to burn through spell slots, turn on Divine Smite reactions. You can do it on critical hits too, so that if you get a critical hit, it'll ask if you want to do that. It's a bit more conscious to save your spell slots. And with alert and high dexterity, we always go first here. And what we want to do is we want to proc our gear. Sometimes if you have Call the Weak, this becomes extremely powerful because basically your damage gets a huge boost from Spirit Guardians. But anytime we walk by, we're going to apply Radiating Orbs. This is really good if they're close by, because you can get close to an enemy and then it's going to create an explosion. So you see the 2 we applied to them. We also applied 2 to them because it does in a 3-meter radius. So this is really nice. We can also further stack these up by just going around and Divine Smiting some targets. And you can use like an upcasted version if you want to burn through and do a bit more damage. So it's something you're going to watch the enemy's health for and just see what's going to be the best choice here. Another thing I want to mention is you can, I didn't apply the Vow of Enmity on my character, but this is actually a good archer too. So we go ahead here, bonus action, which we could have used for like a quicken spell, but we get our attack here, Arrow of Many Targets, and what suddenly becomes an advantage, we get 98% hit chance. We also are illuminated, so if you get a free crit, it's going to crit around to everybody. It didn't hit many targets, but it would apply, we'd applied 2 or 4 more stacks of Radiating Orbs on this enemy here. And Booming Blade is going to be our strongest attack here, doing a 4d8 of damage plus a 2d8 of thunder and then a 3d8 of thunder if they move. Yeah, this will one-shot a lot of targets. And if you had the other ring on, you would proc your other gear here. So that is a very powerful use of your action. And the best part is we got Counterspell to stop this, where a Cleric normally would not have that. So we got some strengths over a Cleric. Despite not being as dedicated of a healer, we're more obviously of a damage dealer. But you could still heal good because we got bonus action spells, which a Cleric doesn't have access to. Another nice thing is when you get multiple stacks of Reverberation, this has 4 stacks, you could actually get a teammate to run over and that'll apply a condition to proc that, so that could be pretty nice. But again, our main thing is always running around to apply those Spirit Guardians damage. And again, if there's multiple enemies in an area, that's even better because we're going to be doing a even larger amount of them. It actually is kind of good if we can get that going there. Now, I'd actually recommend to use the extended spell here on Ice Storm. This will give you 4 turns of an ice surface, which is really nice. Another fun option is extended spell command, because this is a 2-turn duration, which becomes really overpowered when you consider that they're out of commission for those 2 turns. And we got a +10 to our spell save DC, so we have a 26, they have to roll a 26 to succeed on this, and we can upcast this. So this is actually worth your level 5 spell slot at this point, because it's only 1 sorcery point for 5 targets out of combat for 2 turns. This is just absolutely absurd. You can even use it on, you're going to see this here. It's great when we have Spirit Guardian set up, because, yeah, if we land this on everybody, we got Counterspell. That's probably the worst thing that could have happened. All right, let's do a level 4 version of that and not get Counterspell this turn. And I forgot to put Extended Spell on it, I think. So, yeah, that would have been good. Yeah, oops. We'll do it next turn, but what's even funnier is we can just drop an Ice Storm with a bonus action Quicken spell there. That gives radiant damage on top of that too, so we apply 8 stacks of radiating orbs on the archer there. So yeah, spellcasting can get pretty crazy. They're going to slip or run into our Spirit Guardians. I love having command approach on top of ice. It's just really funny seeing them run around like that. And we, again, have Counterspell as such a really good choice here to save us. Dark Energy at 19 to save, we rolled a 13. We also have the Favorite of Gods from the subclass here. When you make an attack roll or saving throw, you can increase your roll by 2d4. This is worth doing because we don't want to, yeah, we saved. That was actually huge. We would have failed that otherwise. That was actually kind of a hard roll from that 2d4, but we made it. That's what matters. And they're still running into our Spirit Guardians, which we would have lost the concentration on if we didn't succeed thanks to that subclass ability, which is really good. Favored by the Gods, you saw it right there and why it's so powerful. And we just started our turn with a big boom there. Now, another thing, again, I'm going to try and do it properly this time. Extended spell on top of command. It's just 2 turns, lockdown, and crazy stuff. 95% chance I did on 1 target. That's fine. We'll then use our attack here. Booming Blade is going to probably take this target out here. 54, 12, and 9. That's nuts. And then you can just follow that up with, if you see 2 targets around, Arrow of Many Targets will always be your best option. But we get advantage on like every attack that we're making. So yeah, 54 damage, kind of nuts. And then we have the Quickened Incantation. So we can save the 2. We don't have enough sorcery points for a bonus action one. But we can do another command as a bonus action. So this is great because you can eat up your level 1 spell slots. I don't want this target to deal with me, so it's command approaching as well. And then we just sit back and let them come towards us. He's got a lot of debuffs on him, so he's not hitting his shot. And I don't have to worry with the other, so I can use Psionic Backlash, which will give him reverberate, or give him the Radiant Orbs even further. And you'll see this target still has command approach for 1 turn. So yeah, they're taken out of the fight completely. Even if they also have 10 stacks of Radiating Orbs, so they ain't hitting the broadside of a barn. That's the beauty of Spirit Guardians, is you can do some silly stuff with it. And we also, since we got the ring on that gives us Radiant Orbs, we can then do some stuff like this, which if we don't take them out, we apply a ton of stacks of the Radiant Orbs. That's the best part about this armor. It's just a crazy synergy. That's the build in Baldur's Gate 3. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed. Check out the Book of Sorcerers by IncogneatoBurrito.